Hi, today I want to show you a feature of the Tesla that is not so much about the car, but about the battery and the charging system, and in particular, the control that you have over the phone app. So I'm talking about this app here on the phone. I've just plugged my car in to the wall outlet down in my garage, and it's happily charging away. I do that every third day probably. I plug it in. I don't drive very far for my daily commute, so I find I only need to plug it in every few days. And I'm now upstairs in my house and I can control everything that's going on with the app here. So I'm going to show you some of the things that you can control with this app and how much value that adds to your experience of the car, and also it helps you manage the longevity of your battery, which is quite important. So I'm going to go into the app now and show you some of the things you can do there. Okay, so the car's just been plugged in the garage. And on the app here, we can see that its current state of charge is 37%, and it's taking on board energy at a rate of 2 kilowatts, which is slow by comparison to a supercharger, but that's as much as you'll get out of your 240 volt outlet at home. And here you can see I've set a charge limit of 60%. So at the moment, I'm controlling this charging so that the car stops charging when it reaches 60%. Now you might ask, why would you do that? Well, my car has the older style of lithium ternary chemistry, and with that type of battery it's not good to charge them over 90%, but in fact there's quite a bit of science that tells us that the best state of charge for those sorts of batteries is somewhere between 40 and 60%. Now, as I said, I don't travel very far in my daily commute, so I can keep my battery state of charge between 40 and 60, which will give me the optimal battery life. And so that's what I do. I run it down to 40, takes about 3 days of traveling, and then I'll plug it in, charge it back up to 60. So straight up, you can see that this is a good feature here where you can set that, and it's so easy. You just drag this little button here, this little drag button across the bar, and you can see how it's changing the charge limit there. So I can go right up here if I want to 100%, but I have it set to 60 normally. And when I've got it set to 60, actually that's 62, but it's near enough. I'll go back to 60. That's 60 there. When I've got it set to 60, up here it's telling me that this will take 8 hours and 40 minutes of charge time to achieve that limit. So that's pretty good, because I know now that that can just charge overnight while I'm asleep, and when I wake up in the morning, it's going to be fully charged, or at least charged to my target of 60%. So just like my mobile phone, I plug it in at night, I don't worry about it, I wake up in the morning and it's good to go. But let's imagine that if tomorrow I was going on a long road trip, I might need more than 60% in the battery. I might want to go to 90% or even 95%. You can do that with this type of battery chemistry. It's okay to charge it sometimes up to 90%. However, it's not good to leave it at that state of charge for any period of time. So ideally what you want to do is you want to be hitting the road just after it's hit its 90% state of charge and start the discharge cycle straight away. Well, if I was going to leave, say, in the mid-morning tomorrow, it's early evening now, that would be 14 hours from where we are right now. And of course, this will finish charging in about 8 hours. So it means that it's going to be sitting there for 6 hours at a very high state of charge, which is not good. So I might want this to actually take longer to charge than ordinarily I would. And I can do that here because this bar down here where it says 10 amps has got a little arrow, and I can tap that and I can actually throttle back the amount of current that's going to that charger into the car. So that's 8 amps. And I'll set it at 8 amps and we'll just see what happens up here with the charge time, because now it'll recalculate how long that's going to take to actually get to the 60%. And you can see it's gone up now, it's going up. It takes a minute or two to adjust and stabilize, but it's at 9 hours 15 minutes now. So you can see how it's going up. And if I knew that I was going to be getting in that car and driving in 14 hours time, I might further throttle this back to get to somewhere around the 14 hours. So that's 7 amps. I might go to 6 amps and throttle back that far and see where that lands. So now it's gone 10 hours. You can see how it's changing there. And so this gives me a lot of control over what's going on here with the battery charge. Now it's gone to 11 hours 45 minutes. So we're getting up now close to 12 hours 15 minutes. So as I say, it takes a while to stabilize, but we're getting close to what I'm looking for, which is around 14 hours for a charge. That's getting close to 13 hours now. And you know, I could go back another amp if I wanted to on here and go back to 5 amps to make that take a bit longer. And so by just tweaking that a little bit, I can get the car to finish its charging just when I'm about to hit the road, and that's what I really want to achieve, to give me the least amount of time at a high state of charge and to be on the road with a full battery. And so where else might you make use of this? Well, I know of another chap who has solar panels on his roof, and he likes to try and use the solar being generated in the daytime to charge his Tesla up. And if you know anything about solar, you'll know that there's a kind of window there between sort of 10 AM to about 2 PM where you get the maximum generation from your solar panels. So what he aims to do is to plug his car in that period and charge it in that period there, so that he avoids exporting energy to the grid, because he doesn't get paid much for what he exports to the grid. So the energy is worth more in his car than it is as an export. Now the problem for him is that he's got a wall charger that can charge, its 3-phase, and it can charge at 22 kilowatts, which is quite fast for a home charger. So if he just plugs his car in and leaves the settings at the default, what will happen is the car will charge up in about half an hour, and then it stops, and then all the energy coming from his roof is going out to the grid and being exported at a low value. So he actually doesn't want the car to charge at a high speed. He wants it to actually charge more slowly over that 4-hour window. And he can achieve that by using this throttle here on the amperage, so that the car charges more slowly and takes the full 4 hours to reach its full state of charge, or the target state of charge. So that's another application for being able to have the control that this gives you, this app on the phone, over how your car is charging, what the maximum state of charge is, and how quickly it's going to charge. All those things can be controlled on the app very easily just by sliding your finger on the screen. Now, as far as I know, this is quite unique to Tesla, not the app, not having an app, although there are many manufacturers like BYD who don't in fact have an app on their phone. But even the ones that do have apps, they don't give you this sort of control over your charging, and to be able to do it remotely. So I can do this from the comfort of my study or my living room, or even if I'm out in the cafe and I suddenly remember I wanted to start the car charging or whatever, I can do it all from my phone. And that's very valuable. Just another one of the great features of a Tesla that you probably are not aware of when you're out there shopping for an EV and you're comparing one car with another. You don't really take on board all of this information, and it's not until you've owned the car for a while that you go, hey, this is really great. Like, I didn't realize I was getting this extra piece of tech with the car. And all of these things add up to make the car actually a good value proposition. People think Teslas are expensive, but I think they're a value bomb when you actually sit down and add up all of the great features and all the versatility and just, the wonderful experience of driving the car, plus all the tech that goes with it. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have, maybe give me the thumbs up, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching.